Hey, we're finally here.
We are here.
We're here. Let me introduce everybody to my man, Freddie Smith. Freddie, how are you?
I'm excellent, Chaz.
I love it. Getting Freddie on the podcast for some reason is just so bizarre compared to everybody else we've had on here. All right. Freddie is a guy that I've probably known, 25 years? By the way, Pennington called me this morning out of nowhere on voicemail. I knew Freddie from
1993, 94.
In that area, right?
Yeah. I think sophomore year, maybe junior year, we started with Bobby Polk in the gym.
Yeah. And took you guys on, we could go over that. Took you guys on senior trip your senior year. And from there, you became like a brother to me. So I wanted to get you in here. Your stories are just amazing. Is James Chu, who I've had on here before, his stories of climbing all the peaks and hunting hogs and doing all that type of jazz are amazing. And Pennington, I'm going to get on soon if I could get him down here through the phone. But I wanted to go back to the reason I do a lot of these now is all type A personalities, okay? All guys that get after it, all guys that are pretty successful, male, female, from Emily to you to Luke Hochaver, Chad Speck, everybody's on there. The one thing I want to ask all my listeners, asking you is, what makes you different? What makes you do what you do? We know what you do as occupation. You're insurance sales, you do that. But what makes you do what you do at, 42 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you know that you were different?
Well, I think that's maybe two different questions, both very good ones. What makes me do what I do?
And okay, so you are I say an Xterra champ, a mountain bike extraordinaire, a road bike extraordinaire, you're an outdoor guy. The Xterra, explain the Xterra to the public out there.
Yeah, so Xterra was something I fell into years ago and I've since stopped when I had a back injury. But Xterra is an off-road triathlon, so it's open water swims, mountain biking, and trail running all thrown together. A little bit different than people think triathlon, they think Ironman, but Xterra is a little different. It's a different crowd, and got into that honestly by peer pressure. I'd moved back here to Knoxville.
What year was that when you moved back?
That was 2002. So I'd been in California, I'd been in Colorado, generally away from any kind of competition for quite a while, and moved back here. Was working with my old man. Joined the country club,
right?
Playing golf,
right?
Going to the pub.
It looks, nothing like you.
Yeah.
Nothing like you.
Yeah.
So,
and so a few years into it, I was pretty miserable. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, I've just signed up for this thing called Xterra. I'm going to go do it." And this was a college buddy that, I didn't really ever think of as an athlete.
But were you training with me then?
No.
We ran into each other at Bogart.
So this is about the time I came back to you, right?
Okay.
So I decided, you know what? If he can do that thing, I can do that thing.
All right.
So I went and found one over in Virginia, in Charlottesville, I think is where it was. And it was a few months out, and that's what I'd run into you. And I said, all right, it's time to call Petrone. It's time to get back in the Woodgym.
What year was that?
Must have been maybe 04-ish. It wasn't too long after I moved back.
But you weren't. See, and that's why I love the podcast, because I didn't even know that. Same with Chewy. Like, how do you get into climbing the mountains? That's how you got into it?
Yeah.
Like, a buddy was like, hey, I'm about to do this one, and that's...
Yeah. Were
you doing anything physical?
I was doing
level?
nothing. I was doing nothing.
Well, define nothing.
Nothing? Working out at Gold's Gym and swinging golf clubs.
That's it.
That was probably it. See, I wasn't even working out at Gold's Gym.
I didn't even know you swung a golf club.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think we're 0 for 2 on
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Really?
So and so that's how I got into the sport of Xterra, and that could be a very long story, but I started training here in the Woodgym with you again when I had that goal in front of me.
Did you already do one, or were you about to do one?
No, I was about to.
Well, when did I take you out on the Wizard of Oz bicycle?
Yeah, that was around then. That was around then.
And we went on the road, and you were really good on a really shitty bike.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you could be good at this. But you are.
Well, and that's kind of the second part of your question, right? When did you know you were really good? And I think high school sports, college activity, really everything up until that point, I wouldn't have thought of myself as really good. You know, I was good, but not great really at anything. And I think when I jumped into Xterra and realized I had a talent riding bikes as well as running, you know, all of a sudden I thought, you know what, I could do this.
And how old were you? See, because it's different, because all the other greats that I've had on here, it's like 8 years old, 13 years old. J.P. Smith said it, Helton, 13, Harrison, 8th grade. So you go through. You're actually the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, complete. I was probably 28.
You were 28 with your first.
Probably. Yeah, that's about when it was.
Okay, so I don't want to get stuck on this, but I definitely want to go. I want to take you through your first Xterra race at 28. So did we train for long? And how did you fare in it to go, oh, shit, I could be pretty good at this?
Oh, I did terrible. You know, I almost drowned on the swim. You know, people are coming out of the transitions in 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I'm in there toweling off and having a snack.
And a transition, you go from water to...
Right, from the swim to the bike and from the bike to the run. You've got a little a pin with your gear and a rack for your bike, and you go in there and, you know, you kind of rip through there and you know, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was spending 5 minutes in there getting myself straight.
No training, no coaching from anything. Nothing like at the levels you are.
No, that was ready, fire, aim all the way. And, you know, the mountain bike was okay. You know, I could always run like the wind. So always, you know, that's been an easy piece for me. But no, I mean, overall, I was way the hell down the charts in that thing. But I absolutely loved it. And it was like a fire got lit in me. And so that was kind of the first of, you know, what an 8-10 year period of that turned into a you know, damn near professional racing career.
Yeah, well, you said the magic word from everybody I've interviewed, and everybody's been on this show, and everybody's come through this gym. You got to love it.
Right.
I tell everybody that with everything they're doing. If you don't love it, you're not going to be good at it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So after that, did you go, okay, now I love it, but I want to be really good at it?
Yeah.
But how did you know you were going to be good at it if you just loved it? If you didn't do well?
Well, I didn't know I was going to be good at it, but I loved it, and I knew I had some talent, and I had good people around me like you, and just that, you know, the way I'm wired is to, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it as well as I can.
Yeah,
and give myself every advantage. And you know, I think probably for the whatever length of period my career was, call it 8 years, I think I improved every single race.
Okay. All right. So again, another common denominator that, you know, I put you right with all of them, all the guys on the wall. I mean, you know, there's a love affair of, if you guys haven't been through the Woodgym yet, if you ever get a chance to stop through, there's an Asian guy that you might think I have a sweet tooth for because I have so many pictures of him on the wall. So I got to compete with him and Freddie of putting pictures on the wall. Then you have a shrine of Harrison Smith in the corner by the bathroom. But I would say that everybody has the same consistent gene. Half nuts, half crazy. They always had, they're a little bit off, a little bit affected. There's not one story that's not affected. And I don't know if that comes from childhood or whatever, of the drive that all you guys have the same key component. Wouldn't you say? I mean, where does that come from? Does it come from childhood? You know, you talked about your back surgery. When you had to have that, the pain threshold that you had to do that while you were still riding was above anything that I could handle. And Dr. James Chu, who's in the industry, was saying, I don't know how he could do that. But you're probably one of the most mentally tough guys that I know. Right. You know, I mean, your headstrong is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things I learned when you kind of reach the upper echelon of a certain sport, whatever it is. I think you realize the difference in athletes becomes less about physical and more about the mental. And that's a huge component. And one of the most, you know, vital lessons I learned early on is the head matters. And you can do a lot more than you think you can.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's so again, take me back. So after that one, you were like, you know, because we got a little time in, I could go on. We might have to do a second one because I know I don't like to keep anybody long, but just how it gets to where, you know, you're the best of the best. I mean, from the Leadville 100 mountain bike race that you know Lance Armstrong's thing out in Colorado to getting your finger pricked last week with Robbie Ventura for lactate acid, the threshold of what you're doing up and down a hill to figure out where your energy and oxygen. How did it get to that level?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it's just striving to get better and to do more. You know, you can be a good athlete just on raw talent, but when you really want to push yourself, when you really set, I think, goals that might appear unachievable, you know, you have to look at things a little different, and that's getting more scientific about how you train and understanding your body better. I mean, I'm 42, right? I can't just go out there and rip it like a 22-year-old can. I got to be a lot smarter about what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, we had to back you down a lot because it was all or nothing with you, you know, and I think I was preaching that. Now, talking with Harrison, we talked about recovery of everybody's on that. And I was trying to tell you years ago, you built your foundation again. I refer back to Harrison because we talk so much about training is once you have the brick by brick, you have to build.
Yeah.
You know, to do a fall away jumper, you have to perfect a jumper first. So you just can't go, oh, look at Michael Jordan do the fall away jumper. You have to perfect the basics. So after the basics, you can pick and choose of the recovery and how to train and when to train and go 42 minutes of quality training is better than 2 hours. For you, and I mean this with most respect, it was the hardest thing to get through to you and your hard head of like, you could take off today and you're going to be better. Well, I don't understand that. But the recovery part of it for you is huge now. It has to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Without that, I mean, you just break down.
I mean, because you built the foundation, you know, again, muscle memory kicks in. Harrison's like, wow, I never thought I'd jump that hurdle. 2 weeks ago, he jumped something and was like, I haven't done that in three years. Yeah, but remember, we're 17 years into the training, so it's going to snap back. You know, so you go into that, you come back, you start training, do you start, again, when I do these podcasts, I ask questions and I'm like, I never knew that about Freddie. What type of competition or meet was the first one you did level, like novice level, local, regional, national? How does it get to the next steps of, okay, now my next one, do you pick it as a hard one, an easy one? Do you know it? Or is it a, cherry picking where everybody just goes in and you don't know? Do you have to qualify to this level to get to that level?
Well, I mean, with Xterra, when I was racing in that series, you can just do little regional races all you want. But they do have regional competitions, national competitions, world competitions.
So qualifiers like weightlifting, you have to have a certain total to get to this.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know,
but the series you're talking about, I could pick one in Asheville, North Carolina, and Charlie Petrone could go do one and see where it is, and then then you start climbing.
Yeah.
Because you're at the level now where you got sponsors.
Yeah. I mean, I was for sure.
You were for sure on top of your game, which I still think you are, but Freddie Smith got sponsors. You're racing. You were the amateur beating half the pros, and then the pros. You were like, okay. Again, the next question I wanted to ask, and we've asked this before: did you get into it too late? Do you think this would have been something like Chewy's nephew at that level? If you got into that, would you still be where you are, or better, or maybe not even selling insurance and competing at the level in your 20s and 30s?
Did I get in it too late? Did I get in it too late to make it a profession? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Because 28 to 35 is kind of the peak for pro athletes in that sport.
Sure.
And
really at 35. So
that's the upper end. I mean, you have some freaks out there that are still competing at a high professional level at 40, but a lot less than 23, 24-year-olds, right? So yeah, I got into it too late to make it a profession, which was probably a good thing, certainly for my family and our income, because it's a hard deal.
Right.
And as competitive as I got, just at the amateur level, when I finished in 2012, my last race was overall amateur world championship, and at that point I could have turned pro. That's also the same year I ended up hurting my back. And my whole life had gotten out of whack, though. I'd put everything into my racing, and things were suffering at home and suffering at work. So, Would I have made a good pro athlete? Absolutely, but it probably wouldn't have made me a very good husband and father. That's for sure.
Right. Right. But in your 20s, because you have to have that tunnel vision. All the great ones do. They sacrifice everything. You got to give up to go up, as John C. Maxwell says. So, I mean, all those head coaches, the great ones, are usually divorced 6, 7 times because, they're Nick Bollettieri 8 times, but produced all the best. So I get that. So from the 2012, wow, time flies by. That's amazing. 2012, you were still an amateur. Where did you take it from 2012? Did you back off after your back surgery or go, wait a minute, because I know that's another challenge. I want to see if I could get all athletes. I want to see if I could get back to the point before my injury.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I my goal was to get back where I was.
And have you done everything at that point or no? There's still more races. I mean, hell, you traveled with me to South Florida to do a race.
Yeah.
I mean, we flew back, with your bike on the plane, and you were always finding no matter where you were finding a spot to do some outlandish type of training routines, right?
Oh yeah.
So you were going,
still do,
and you still do. Yeah, you have other challenges, but the biking thing is that's the sport that I wouldn't say put you on the map, but I think the street cred was okay. Then you went to Xterra to the road biking, and now you are. Did you race road biking as much as the Xterra?
No, never. Mountain bike racing was pretty much exclusive. I ride road bikes all over the place for training, but really just race the mountain bikes.
The mountain bikes.
Yeah.
And so after 2012, what was the next big competition? Are you in the pro events now? I mean, can you be a pro and be a guy that runs an insurance company and has to travel and family man?
There's tons of professional pros, absolutely. And when I race mountain bikes, I still race with a pro license.
Okay. All right. So you went into the pro division at some point, right?
Right.
What year was that?
Well, after 2012.
After the big amateur world championships, do you have to? Is it like point out with motocross?
No, I mean I could class down, but
cherry picking, as they say, class down, whoop everyone's ass, feel good, get another medal.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's not how you're wired. So you go up to the pro division.
Yes.
Okay. How are you there? Kicking ass or getting ass kicked?
A little of both. More getting my ass kicked than kicking ass. But it's
is it a bigger division, a bigger group?
It depends on the race. Depends on the race and where you are. Can be.
And what's the separation of a pro to the top amateur like Freddie Smith was to a pro? The time separation. Like in a race, like he was 2 minutes off, or he could have.
Well, it's not, putting in terms of time is difficult because different races are different distances. And, you've got 100-mile mountain bike races, 20-mile mountain bike races. You've got 6-day stage races. I would say the top from, mid-pack pro to top amateur is pretty slim.
Slim.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you were an amateur,
maybe 2 or 3%.
Right, because you were coming in, pulling the results up on the computer, always happy to show me, and it would be like, well, I beat 7 of the pros. I would have been 4th in the pro division, but I was in the amateur division.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the juice of turning pro is racing with the best, getting better. I mean, it's got to feel cool. I mean, it sounded cool just now going pro license. You're not an amateur anymore. You're a pro. You put the time into it. You got a scar to prove it, correct?
Yeah. This is true.
I mean, so you're doing it all. I mean, so from 2013 to what? When did you stop? Like 16, 17?
Racing Xterra?
Yes.
2012. It's my last race.
That was your last race?
Yep.
And
just been purely mountain bike racing since then.
See, I didn't know that either. So that now you pick a whole different. So now, but before you were working with a swim coach. You were doing everything, always moving the training around here. This model never stayed the same. It was a constant Rubik's cube, trying to find the perfect fit. I don't know if we ever found it, but we were always trying to struggle to get to it, right?
Oh yeah, we always struggled, and part of that was me because, I felt like, getting myself sore in the weight room was the wrong thing to do when I had to go out and do a long run or go for a bike workout.
Right.
And then I think it was the winter of 2011 when you really pushed me to get in here and go heavy on the weights because my run split was constantly top 3. My swim was top 1/3. It was never going to be great, but it was good enough not to lose. And my bike was, 10 to 15. And So you really pushed me to get in here, focus on doing heavy lifting in the off season and even into the beginning part of the season. And all of a sudden that year, my bike split was top 5.
Now, do you think just from the training? I never asked you this question, but when you mountain bike, when you're doing that, do you have a mountain bike riding coach like they do in motocross? The kids I've trained in motocross have like riding coaches, and they sit out there and watch the laps, and they work on cornering, getting out of this corner faster, keeping the gas on. Did you work on that by yourself, or hire anybody for that?
I didn't really.
Did you ride with faster riders?
Yeah, I mean, I always try to get out with guys that were better than me. So either technically or physically. And but I never had a coach to work on technique. Probably would have been a good idea.
I mean, at the level, but it all started flowing because I know,
when you get at that level, I mean, seconds start to count.
Yes,
the difference between first and 10th could be 20 seconds. So it's those little things, little bits of technique can make a big difference. So
no swimming anymore, no running. I understand now because I never hear you talk about that now. See, that's what I love about the podcast, because there's things you sit down. If we went out to eat, we wouldn't talk about this. And if we're in the gym, we don't talk. We're always in the morning. We're always grumpy, agitated, whatever, training. And it's, busy as hell, and we're just running around. So then you just went over to mountain biking.
Yeah. I mean, I tried to get back to it, but the running just didn't agree with my back after I had surgery.
Right.
So I just, the doctor said, look, you can push through. It's just a little arthritic pain. But I said, it's just not worth it. So I still love to mountain bike and gives me no problem. So I decided to focus on that.
And the next challenge, I could be wrong, but the next challenge, I love my state-of-the-art calendar up there that we always look at with all the different colors, and they're not in order. And Chad Speck, the sports agent that trains here, hates that because he's, anal retentive. But that's another story. I'll get him on next week for that. Was it the Leadville? Because you go, okay, here's my next big challenge. Because you're the type of guy, again, type A, wired, Petrone, Woodgym, Freddie, whatever we want to title it. What's next? And me studying other podcasts of other people, of other great people, that's all they talk about. The great ones never settle. So how did you pick the Leadville, the 100-mile mountain bike race?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bucket list kind of race for mountain bikers and road bikers alike, really. It's just such a test. It's a 100-mile mountain bike race where the elevation you start at is 10,200 feet. So you've got a 100-mile race ahead of you. You've also got altitude to contend with. And it's just one of those races that is again a bucket list kind of thing, but a huge challenge. And so I'd known a lot of friends that had gone out to do it, and every year I like to pick something that's going to push me and challenge me, and that seemed like a good one to just go ahead and tackle.
What year was that?
It was 3 years ago, maybe 16.
Was that your biggest crossover from Xterra to mountain biking? Ride? I mean, because you've done a couple down under the border or somewhere, over the border. What do you say, under or over? I'm slightly retarded, so I don't know.
Across the border.
It's across the border. See, I do it. That's a web graduate right there. Private school to no school.
Yeah, that definitely would have been one of the biggest challenges up to that point. And it was there's completion and then there's competing, right? Are you a completer or a completer?
Yeah.
And I've never been a completer, so
yeah.
It's different. Yeah, there's a lot of people that go out there
keep
just
score
to,
of 62 races.
Yeah.
That's right. I did 62 this year. Great, good. I finished last in every one of. Yeah, that's not me either.
Yeah.
I get it. I'd rather not do any.
Yep.
I'd rather.
Well,
so when you went to the board, when we went to the calendar, I could have sworn there was another one before that you really had to qualify for. You had to. What was that? Didn't you? No. Here's the thing. You don't remember this, okay? Is you could pay to do the Leadville.
Oh yeah.
Or you could qualify.
Right. Yeah. There's a camp that you can pay.
Right.
If you go do the camp, they get you an entry.
Right.
Or there's a lottery. But to get in, which
what's a lottery?
You put your name in the hat and they draw. If there's 100 spots and 1,000 people put their names in, maybe you got a 1 in 10 shot to get a Leadville entry.
That's two ways.
And the other way is go to one of half dozen Leadville race series qualifying races and go race.
And which one did you do?
I did one down in Austin.
So you won the qualifier.
Yeah, it was a qualifier.
You want to take the hard way.
That's right. I wasn't going to toe the line if I didn't earn my way in.
Got it.
And so, yeah, I went down to Austin, Texas. It's called the Austin Rattler, and placed high enough there to get a spot, and also placed me in a more forward starting position, which
That's
helps.
Right. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, because you got thousands of people out there. If you're back at the back, it becomes a conga line going up the steep climbs.
And that's where your biggest goal, I think one of them was, I got to get the buckle.
Yeah.
And so if you go to my Instagram page, Freddie's on there with the buckle the size of his head. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
You got the buckle.
Under 9 hours, you get the big buckle. Under 12 hours, you get a little buckle.
And you got the big buckle.
Get the big buckle.
Shocker. Yeah. Under 9 hours. That's amazing.
Under 9. Yeah. It's a long day.
So, I mean, and that's we bring that all the way around of after you finish that, do you go home and talk to your wife and go, hey, I'm done? Or I think I got to go to something else, because she's got to be a saint with all the time that you put in on the weekends. I hear all the hours that you constantly do. So
yeah. There's no way I could do it without her support.
Yeah.
So, but she knows, even though she gets frustrated, she knows it's what makes me tick.
Yeah. Big shout out to Mrs. Smith. That's awesome. Yeah. So after the Leadville, do you sit back for a minute, in which, I know that answer, and go after another one? Or how do you keep, like with Chewy, okay, Mount Everest or whatever, I'm done. Been there, done that. Harrison, 5 Pro Bowls, super. Okay, how do you keep moving the bar? How do you keep moving the goalposts back?
Well, I think, at the end of each year and kind of beginning of the next year, look at goal setting and have somebody that's going to challenge you on that every year, whether that's you or some other coach you've got. Sit down and think about what you want to do. And there's any number of things out there, and whether it's another big mountain bike race, a stage race, that's kind of something I've gotten more into lately, is multi-day events. But yeah, look at each year and say, okay, what am I going to find to push myself? What's a challenge I haven't taken on yet? Something else that's going to keep me out there honest and hungry.
I mean, have you raced from 2017 to 2018 year? Have you done a race?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, probably the most fun race I did last year was the Breck Epic, which is a 6-day mountain bike stage race.
That's right. Yeah.
See,
I keep
up in Breckenridge, Colorado.
Yeah. Because you're out west a lot. You went to the University of Colorado, correct?
Correct.
So you know that, the altitude. You're skier. You do it all. So what is it different out west that you like? Is that where all the big boys play with the mountain bike compared to east or south? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there's great athletes everywhere,
right.
But I just tend to like the challenge of the altitude and the climbing in the big mountains and big descents. You just have a better opportunity out there to put just massive courses together than you do back in the east.
And that was the last one, the six stages.
Yeah, and
you did it.
I did it.
Where'd you finish?
Yeah, I was one spot off the podium in the men's expert 40+ division. It was all 5 days I was in third place. In the last day I was trying to chase down second, and I was so focused on just going full gas that I blew a turn and I got off course.
That's right. I remember that. See, that's why I like to do this, because I remember you telling me that.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah. So how does a guy like Freddie do on the plane ride back? Is that a double Tito's with a Bloody Mary on the way back?
That's a lot of beer.
Yeah. Just yeah. So do you come back out swinging? I mean, I feel like you're family to me. You're like a brother to me. I feel like 2019, a lot of my guys that are close to my heart are in good spaces. So, and in good places, and you're raising kids and doing stuff. Do you go after another one?
Always.
I mean, you're always going to do something. I mean, because I'm like, okay, because to be honest, I mean, I haven't asked you this or told you this. You haven't gone to the calendar in a while.
Yeah.
And I know, like, all right, what's going on, because he hasn't been to the calendars. He's thinking about something. Because usually I like when people go to calendars, because it's like, it digs me in too. Yeah. Because the Penningtons, the Heltons, the Harrisons, all the Lukes, Hochaver, all these guys pull the best out of me, because they're like, here's my goals.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
I get some stuff for the calendar for 19.
You do.
Oh yeah.
You got something.
Yeah, we just have to ink it in.
Okay, and it's on 2 wheels.
It's on 2 wheels.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. The ski touring, mountaineering stuff is something else that is a passion and pushes me and drives me. But as far as 2 wheels and racing and lining up against people, I got a few good things in store this year.
Yeah, so that is the difference because you compete, right? Compared to all the things you've been doing lately, the heli skiing, the ice climbing. I mean, have you seen that stuff that he does? It's amazing. I mean, it's ice picks and shit, and you're like,
Amazing is the word.
yeah, like I just sit
my-
by the
my-
beach and get hammered.
My
for
wife
2 or 3
asked me
days.
why I like to do things that just could get me killed.
I mean, yeah. Hey, I got somebody to sell you some life insurance. I'm sure that policy is way up there.
They don't know the half of
They
it.
don't know. They don't know. Go ahead, honey. You don't have to strap in. You could be like that guy climbing the building that Chewy was talking about, that French dude. All right, so that's good. 2019, you got some good things up. I like that. That's what I was thinking. I was like, has he lost his edge? Because you grinding right now. I mean, with the kids, you're right in the age of everybody. You bring them in on Saturday mornings, it's like hell on wheels. You
It's
know what
full
I'm
on.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still, the best of the best ones keep the day full and prioritize what's important to them so you can be better when you go back to your family. I know you, Freddie, like that. If you don't get your rides in, king of the assholes. I know it. It's going to be there, right?
No doubt.
Yeah. After his rides, he's
wish
a
it
mild asshole, but I love this asshole.
I wish it wasn't true, but can't argue with that.
Oh my gosh. Well, I appreciate your time, man. I'd love to catch up with you. I know we don't ever get to do it, and I didn't think he was taking my podcast seriously at first. When, what's all the equipment for? Show? Yeah, it's for show, but I really do love doing them because I get to really connect with people like you. I love you. Thanks so much for coming on. Awesome. 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 Awesome.